Hello everyone, my name is Moji. You're watching a Bitcoin Bubble News channel. 70,000 will be a big mark to test Bitcoin at. What did it do yesterday? It kisses and pierces 70,000 by about $16 and then flips around to about $3,000 to $4,000. Today, the charts show that we initially pulled back and they're pretty much flat for the morning session. This tells us that BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world, has warned of a rise in cryptocurrency scams involving their brand on a number of platforms. BlackRock is in charge of $10.5 trillion in assets and has seen a big rise in financial scams, especially ones involving cryptocurrencies. People who fall for these scams are often sent to sketchy websites or apps like WhatsApp and Telegram. BlackRock warned people to be careful when dealing with people or platforms that use its name to make financial offers in a post on X. The company made it clear that neither BlackRock nor its executives reach people on social media to talk about investments. Scammers often pretend to be BlackRock workers and invite people to fake stock or crypto training sessions where they promise high returns. People are often tricked into putting money on fake trading platforms and then being asked for more money to get their claimed returns. When it first came out in January, BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF, elliott, the iShares Bitcoin Trust, has grown to $23 billion, making it the largest Bitcoin exchange-traded fund ETF in the United States. The company has also made an Ethereum ETF. If you were skeptical about Bitcoin at first, elliott CEO Larry Fink, you should now see it as digital gold. He talks about how valuable it is as a portfolio asset for economic security and protection against currency debasement, as the company continues to grow in the digital asset space. Let's watch this movie with Gareth to learn more about Bitcoin and other things. We know that the center line is important, and this 70K level is too. We touched the pivot line here, and then we tried to rally but ran into obstacles and were turned down. Which way do you think it will go? You should keep a neutral to bullish view on Bitcoin as long as it stays above this pivot line. To enter a bearish consolidation or negative fall bias, it must flush below and start trading below. That would be a move all the way back down to around 55,000. It's really cool to see how these charts move back and forth like pinball or ping pong, from support to resistance. Then the question is whether we go back to support or try to hit 70,000 on the Bitcoin chart again. Ethereum had a nice little move early on. It slowed down a bit yesterday, but it's starting to move up again today. Support is still down here at about 31.00, and resistance is still at 35.5. There is also secondary support in this lower area. Also Solana. Yesterday I talked about Solana. It was higher than that key number. Take a look at this, guys. Yesterday it did a tricky topping tail. After going through the double top right here, it has a bearish turnaround signal. And again, the tail is topped. This is a classic topping tail. Now, to be fair, this trend line is what we're looking at as experts. It will fall sharply if this trend line breaks to the downside. What if this holds? It might be able to fight this double top again and even get rid of the topping tail. But this is a big level. This is an upsloping trend line, and all of these lows are lined up right along it. Keep an eye on that for a few days. Gold today it went up a little, but there's not much else going on. Every person who owns gold, silver, platinum, or palladium is waiting for the Federal Reserve to meet tomorrow. The precious metals markets will be the ones that are most affected by that important choice, which will happen right before the SP 500 market opens. We could see very clearly that the markets finished yesterday around $544.75 on the SPY. We had sideways action after hours, and then there was a rollover right before the end of after hours. In fact, the futures were trading down pretty strongly, but by 4 a.m. This morning when the futures, or should I say SPY, started trading again, we were back up all the way and have been staying that way for the rest of the pre-market. Take a listen. I think that today, with all the big earnings reports coming out after the bell, things will stay pretty much the same. I think the chips will decide whether it goes up or down. We'll talk about the chips next when we're done. But once more, we are holding steady right now. Now, let's look at the daily chart. Again, I've already shown you this trend line, but basically what we have here is a trend line that is holding so far. Guys, the problem with this is that we all know what will happen if we keep making sideways to slide up consolidation, right? In fact, let me draw something. You have a down move here, right? Let's do it now. This is a down move. The next type of consolidation is a bearish flag consolidation, which means the price is staying the same. We could see it right here on the charts, the move down and the start of the sideways stabilization. Here's the question, what do you think of this pattern? It's young, It has only had 2 days where it went up and down, but today could be the third. And once you get past number 3, you start to see a good mature trend with higher chances of going down. In general, this is a bad sign. In the end, it leads to this move down. Usually, if we keep going sideways to slightly up, a breakdown will happen soon. Once more, that is a clear copy of the technicals on the chart. Okay, once more, we are not far from our all-time highs. That being said, let's look at this over a longer period of time. This shows that if you do start to sell off and the SP goes through a bigger sell-off, what is your likely target? Right now, this trend line seems like a good place to aim for. Okay, what's interesting about this again? I love looking at bigger time frames because they give us such a clear picture of what the future might hold. You should remember that the daily chart shows what will happen in the next 1 to 2 weeks, or roughly that time frame. It looks at the next 1 to 2 months, or even further away, on the weekly chart. And the weekly chart could be up to 2 years from now. However, it is clear that the COVID low and these lows shown here, here, and here, and here line up perfectly. And that tells us that this is likely your goal range on the charts if we start to sell off and break down. So it looks like the price will go down to around 470. A professional like me always tries to make sure they have more than one factor. This is why I find it interesting. For those of you who are just listening in for the first